Hi, Leo. It's Angela. We're here to do your Leo reading, Sun, Moon, or Rising for October. And like I always like to say, if you are some other outside of the Leo spectrum, or it's not the month of October and you're still here watching this video, you've been called here by your own intuition, and the message is for you as well, this guidance. Our readings are soul guidance. We're not doing psychic, predictive, outward timeline stuff. This is energy readings and the vibration that's within you, and an opportunity to focus on one aspect of your vibrational energy and highlight it, develop it, and toward the on your path of evolving. And that's what we're doing here. So what we usually do is pull one oracle card and then give you something to focus on there, and then we get into more details using Zen-based tarot deck. And I am not a technical tarot reader at all. Everything is completely intuitive, and you'll hear me start to ramble on, and that's kind of just how the messages come through. So let's get started. The oracle card that we're using is coming from this deck this time, the Soul's Journey. These are very simple, beautiful messages, and I love the artwork on these cards. It's gorgeous. And the card I pulled for you, Leo, is freedom. When you think of freedom, you think of emancipation, like a release from something, right? This isn't what we're talking about. This is the freedom toward something more. I possess the power and the free will to create my own happiness. And that's what we're talking about as far as freedom. The freedom to move about and explore within your own experience and live in happiness if you choose, because it is choice, right? So I love this. And this could be whatever your personal circumstances are. We all have limitations, and we all have things going on in our lives that make us feel less than free, right? But this, remember, this is an energetic level. This is within you, and in the face of outward restrictions in your life, you can still possess that knowledge and that the freedom within to move toward the positive, toward the happier time, the happier feelings, see the bright side all the time. I actually call myself the bright sider, and that's a natural trait I have. I can't help it. It's kind of annoying sometimes to people. People will come with me with a problem, and right away I'll flip it to, here's what you can gain from it. Here's the good part. Not everyone always wants to hear that when they're woe and feeling in their sadness. And I've tried to learn to slow that down a little, especially with my kids. When they're coming to me with a problem, I can already see that they're okay on the other side of it, right? I already know, but I'm trying to slow that down and allow for their sadness to be there, so that they can really feel the happiness, when it comes back, and they can feel the difference, and then start to maybe generate that for themselves within. All right, let's get to the Zen cards and get started on this topic of freedom. I have the free will to create my own happiness. Okay, we have here, this is the tree spread. These are the sets of branches and the trunk down here. We start here in the middle, and then we flow down to the trunk where the growth takes place, and we move to a higher set of branches, or your higher consciousness. You move to a higher vibration in understanding your relationship to freedom for happiness. Okay. All right. Your starting point, Leo, is this card. And we have, this is how I feel most of the time, mind. Look at that busy mind. There's no room in there to freely choose to be happy the way this mind is going, right? It's clustered. There's a few chimneys on fire in there, and there's just a lot going on, a lot of pent up, bound in energy. And yeah, our minds get this way. This is what happens. We can sometimes get ourselves with too many thought patterns, especially those persistent ones that kind of say you can never be happy, or I won't be happy until, I won't be happy until this happens, right? That's doing it backwards, as we all know, right? You live in a feeling of happiness, and then more of that comes to you. You don't say, I need to achieve this thing before I'll be happy. Yeah, I'll achieve this thing and I'll feel a little better, but I can be happy on my way to that thing, right? I can at least drum up a few feelings of happiness here and there, right? Okay, so that's where we start, with a sort of a cluttered mind, and a lot of activity and a lot going on there that's probably blocking our free will and blocking our choice to be happy. And, you know, when I say happiness, you know, I'm not going Pollyanna and like, oh, everything's all roses, everything is all perfect all the time. I don't mean that. I just mean a general tendency towards seeing the good in things, and being, and really also being okay when things aren't. That's it. There's a I wouldn't say a detachment, but it's kind of a detachment from that heavy, like getting engaged with all that drama and heavier, you know, like if something crappy happens to you, crappy things happen. Like, why do I want to stay with it and lament over it and bring it up again and tell everybody about it over and over and figure out how I'm going to never let that happen again, when it was just a crappy thing that happened, and I'm going to, you know, let it pass, right? I'm going to move on and make the best of it and find my smile again. Now, when I say crappy things, I'm not talking about intense trauma, right? I always have to make that disclaimer. This is not, you know, if it's your mental health that's in jeopardy, or your physical well-being that's in jeopardy, and something crappy is happening to you to threaten that, that's not, this isn't what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about, like, you know, you're driving down the street and somebody slams on their brakes in front of you. Yeah, you know, oh, well, they slammed on their brakes. At least I was able to stop in time. I'll go this way, they can go that way. Right? It's that kind of a thing. Not deflection, but dismissive, you know, kind of like the duck letting it roll off off their back, letting the water roll, I don't know what it is, roll off their feathers. I don't even know. That kind of a vibe. It's kind of like, yeah, that shitty thing happened, and oh, look over here, the sun's shining. Right? That's what I mean by trying to maintain happiness. You have that choice in that moment. Do I want to get into it with this person who wasn't paying attention and slammed on their brakes in front of me? Or do I want to just like whatever and move on to where things feel better? Right? So this is what I mean. And when it's something that's deeper and intense, and I know we all have intense things that go on, the premise, you know, is the same, but there's a lot more work involved, right? To move ourselves away from those darker energies. But that's for another time. Right now, this is a simple general reading. If you were in with a private reading with me, we would explore the deeper stuff, right? But this is just light, a little lighter. Okay. So now we started with our mind and all the clutter and the chatter that can go on there that really kind of block us from knowing even that we have a choice how to see things or how to respond to things. Internally and within us, we kind of are starting to get the feeling that, yeah, there's other ways. It's possible to not be so bogged down with these repetitive negative thoughts. It's possible. Even just knowing that it's possible is kind of one of the keys to the gate, right? Just knowing it. And, you know, in this card, we have that eagle that's flying way over the landscape, where way down here, maybe there's a little rat or a mouse or something that their whole world is that corner, right, of the picture. Their whole world is the blades of grass in front of them and the couple of little bugs that are walking by. But the eagle, and within you have the capacity to rise above and be the eagle and see a more expansive view, which is a lot more than what's just going on in your mind. There's a lot more to our lives, right? And one of the most important things that is a lot more than the mind chatter that goes on within us is the way we feel. And that's where we come back to freedom. We have the freedom to choose how we feel. The thoughts and the feelings work hand in hand in that instance. But it's not just somebody did something crappy and now I have to add that to my pile of horrible things that happen in my life, right? No, it's possible to have another perspective. And within you, internally, and in your inner being knows this. And hopefully, if there's a competition between your inner being knowing that and your mind trying to keep everything categorized and good or bad or negative, maybe your inner being might win. Hopefully, right? Okay, so just opening up that awareness that it's possible to do this a little differently. It's possible really in every instance to choose a happy response. In your external world, I got new vision. So yeah, I mean, that goes hand in hand. It's possible to see things differently, right? Aim your sights toward bigger and better. Aim your sights toward more whole being responses to things. Instead of that gut mind reaction that is pre-planned and really practiced in a lot of us throughout our lifetimes, be willing to have new responses to things. Be willing to just have that openness, and you'll be amazed at how things can shift. Really. I spent a lot of my earlier years, like a lot of us, using a lot of judgments, a lot of I call them decisions in our minds. Like, if I see somebody in a certain behavior, like I can't even think of anything, maybe yelling at their kid. In my mind, in my younger years, it was a decision that, oh, that's a horrible parent. How mean, how awful. Why would you want to yell? What a mean person, right? Those are the decisions I made in my mind about that person who I didn't even know, right? But the behaviors that were showing up made me decide who they were, right? And so and with practice, it became a little easier to soften that, to kind of back off it. Oh, I wonder what she went through today, so that her top cracked, or she snapped. And maybe it really wasn't about the child's behavior at all, but that was the closest thing to take it out on, which a lot of us are guilty of as parents too. But yeah, the shift happens over time. It's a practice. Non-judgment is a practice. You don't just say, I release all non-judgment and now I'm a non-judgmental person, right? It takes time, but it's doable. It's doable because I'm in a very different place now than I was, years ago. And now I see a parent, snapping at a kid or yelling at a kid, and I think, oh, that parent's really feeling overwrought, and how sad. Sometimes I may even offer help, can I help you, or whatever. So yeah, that's it. It's those decisions in our mind, and that's what we're trying to soften, is those instant reactions that our mind have, and just be open to other ways to approach things, which leads to, that right there, just being open to approach things in new ways is freedom, right? It's freedom in itself. So I love that. Okay, let's move on. We've got the next card here coming off the new vision card. This is the key, the pivot card of the reading that pulls you into a higher vibration, and that the energy that's mastered here gets to be enjoyed, and gets to move you and evolve you to a higher level of understanding about as it pertains to your personal choices. And I got Thunderbolt. Something needs to go away. Something needs to be shed. This could be a belief pattern that you have. Some of your prejudgments that you hold. Maybe if there's certain habits that, like maybe some gossipy habits that have you, perpetuating those beliefs, about others, and, oh, those parents are horrible. All those parents who yell, they're horrible people, right? Something needs to be shed from your experience in order for you to lighten the load and bring it up to another level of awareness. Now, for you personally, what that is, right? I just offer suggestions, like maybe it is a belief pattern, maybe it is, an old experience that you're clinging to, that maybe you got yelled at when you were a kid, and now all the parents who yell at kids are horrible, like your mom was in that moment, right? I mean, maybe it's an exact situation like that you're still clinging to. And maybe that's the work that needs to be done to shed that. But what it is, and this is, it's also a major arcana. This is a powerful pivot. So once you can tap into what needs to be released, I think everything flows from there. And then we get to the point of, after the release, we land here, and look where we are. We're in moment to moment. Now we feel the flow, right? Now those choices, that freedom to choose our happiness, is right at our fingertips, and we are in that flow. This figure is walking along this rainbow river with this stone under them, and his eyes are closed. And the next step that he takes, he doesn't need to open his eyes, because he knows within him, because he's in the flow, because he's moving in an organic way, he realizes that the support that he needs is always there, always. And even if this is that you've decided to drop a lot of your constrictive mental approaches to things, sometimes that might make us feel a little bit shaky, right? If it's like the way you've done it all along, all your life, was to make decisions, like I say, about others and others' motivations, and categorize them in your mind. That's the way you feel most secure, within you and your being. It's hard to break that habit. It's hard to just like let that shed and fall away. But with practice, like we said, remember, the willingness to try it another way is all you need. Is acknowledge the willingness, allowing for more room. Then you get to move from moment to moment. Now your happiness is in every moment, and you get to appreciate each moment of your life. Like there's sometimes when, after a long day and I have my little routine at night, I'll, take my bath or whatever, and then get, all the things I do to get myself into my bed, which is one of my favorite places. I have this whole thing where, I put pillows under my knees to kind of rest my back, and put some heat on my back. And I can't tell you, like, if I have to miss out on that moment every day, it makes me so happy to be able, and it's the smallest little thing, but that's where we get to acknowledge all those things that do make us happy, and find the gift and the happiness in just about any situation. That really, it lightens it. It buoys, the ice cubes in your glass, right? And it makes it even more half full, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It just feels happier. I guess that's what it is. And now I'm getting to the card that goes alongside this moment to moment card, that is an inner energy that's within you, that you kind of realize needs to happen in order to support this, is slowing down. So moment to moment and slowing down are hand in hand. And those are both the kind of the same energy. That tortoise, his feet are right under his legs. Like he's not racing to get anywhere, just like this figure on the river. They're exactly where they are for as long as they need to be. And then they will move into the new space. And then they will move into the new space, right? And they're, just slowing down in itself helps with this mental log jam, and helps you to access that freedom and that free will that's within you, that we all carry. It's that mental clutter that's blocking it. And just by slowing down, we have more access to it because there's more room to breathe. There's more space and time in between our thoughts and our actions. So really finding ways to pace ourselves and appreciate every moment and be very mindful of the way we feel in each moment. And if we don't feel so good, let the icky feeling be there for a little bit, and then know that you're going to allow it to pass and you can get back to your happy self. My general state of being isn't like over exuberant happy. I mean, I have a lot of energy, as you can tell, but my resting state is contentment. And that's enough of a base, right? To springboard off of into any direction. I can slip into despair every now and then too, and frustration for sure, like almost daily, but I don't stay there, right? I get back to my base, which is content. And then, there's also moments where I have extreme joy and laughter and all that. But if you can find whatever your baseline is and rest there mostly, then you have a more open pathway and better access to that happiness, that freedom, that concept of freedom, free will to choose happiness lies. And then your final card, the last one, is healing. And this is kind of like the cap to the reading. And it's sort of the overview message, like the outcome message. All of this work has a healing effect. It always does. And, with your steady practice, Leo, you can start to find that full alignment. When you have, like I said, my resting state is contentment. This is what that feels like. It feels like this looks. It's alignment. It's, mind, body, spirit is aligned. I am present. I am embodying every moment. And that makes me feel content because I'm awake and aware and in my life. And even if things happen that throw me off and bum me out, that, that's not too far off of contentment either, because I'm in the reality of what's, something might have happened that bummed me out, and I can be bummed out for a little bit, but I'm not going to stay there. I'm not going to go tumbling down a big hole, because I can't unknow my state of happiness. I can't unknow it, right? Once I've practiced myself into that general state most of the time, I'm not going to go backwards too far, because I know it's easier that way, right? I know it's easier on the other end. So now I'm going to pull for you a quick bonus card from this deck called Notes from the Universe. And these are really just little love notes from your higher self. And we're going to see what your message is. We'll see if maybe it pertains to the freedom and maybe it doesn't. But let's see. All right, got one that fell out. This may have been someone else's too. I'm not sure. Keep it simple. Yep. Keep it simple. That's pretty good for this concept of the freedom to be in your happiness. It is kind of simple. It's not always easy if we have a lot of that mental stuff cluttered and we have to strip some of that away. That's not always easy, but it is a pretty simple concept. Just choose to see the best of things. Yeah, I know it's not always easy, and I'm not trying to say just snap to it. It's a practice and it takes time, but you can do it. Okay. All right, Leo. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys remember to like and subscribe and share my videos and make some comments if you can, to help the YouTube gods, find me and help my channel grow a little bit. As we evolve and grow through these readings, so will my channel, I hope. Okay. All right, you guys. See you soon.